The Global Auxiliary has all kinds of interesting features that you can edit. This is the advanced section inside the PanCat. If you step on the edit foot switch and you hit pad number 24, you see global. If I use the forward key, here's one feature where you can protect or unprotect all of your kits. Here's another one. You can control what gets merged into your MIDI in, meaning that you can decide anything that you plug into the MIDI in will be merged with the MIDI going out. You can tell it whether or not you want the PanCat to automatically receive data dumps. You can change the threshold of your instrument. This has to do when you strike a pad in this particular mode, you can actually set at when your pad actually responds for your softest hits. And you can change your margin by striking the pad that you want to adjust, and then you can raise it or lower it. There's other ways that you can do the entire instrument, but this is an advanced section we'll explain later. Getting back to the other things that are in here, you can also adjust the threshold on the forward and backwards keys. You can affect what happens when a program change is received on the PanCat. Here again is those training screens that you don't have to see all this stuff. And here's the beeper control where you can turn your beeper on and off. I don't like it. You can change the angle of the screen. You can, if you have more than one PanCat, you could have individual dumps. And in order to prevent accidental dumping to the wrong PanCat, you can assign an ID to each one of your PanCats. And then there's all kinds of fancy things that you can control, your dead stroke and your dampened stroke. That is an advanced section that you'll get in the full manual. But here's one that you may want to use, and that is your foot controller. You have two foot control inputs on your PanCat. In its normal function, it's doing controller things. But you may decide that you want it to act as a setup advance. So rather than hitting the forward and backward keys to change your kits, you can do that by putting a foot switch in here instead of having a controller. It's also possible that you can have that play a MIDI note number using a foot switch. Remember before that we set that up? You had a choice on your foot control screen whether it could be one note or two notes or three notes or four notes. This is where you assign that. And again, I'll show you where that is. Under the foot control screens under 13, you go here. This is where you would assign the actual MIDI note numbers if you had four notes. And it's this screen here that you can decide that you want four notes to be active. This is advanced stuff, but I thought I'd show you anyway. And that goes the same, by the way, for foot controller number 2. Special incoming routing stuff and system message stuff. This is all advanced features. But here's another interesting feature that you may want to use. Do you remember before when I said that when you use the kits, you may want to name your own kits? Well, if you want to name your own kits and not see the general instrument names, that's general MIDI, you change this from instrument names to kit names. And now whatever you call a kit, whatever you name, your kit in the user kit now shows up instead of the automatic instrument name setup. If you decide to use none, you don't see any names on the screen, but more information about the settings on the instrument itself. You'll notice now you don't see the name anymore, but you see channel, the volume, the program on each for both controller 1 and for controller 2. But again, that's an advanced feature. We normally keep the instrument set for instrument names. Those are the general MIDI names that are inside the instrument. Again, these are advanced features that you can learn about when you get the full manual, and you can even change the tuning. Let's just say you happen to have an instrument that you're playing in the band that's 442. You can change the sense. Now the instrument is set to 442. And all kinds of fun. You can change your dampening counts and ratio. These, again, advanced features. Now you'll notice that on the PanCat you have two wheels, the virtual wheels 1 and 2. This is where you can assign it to do different functions. This is also will change radically in PanCat 2.0 we decided not to implement this completely until after we get some more advice from pan players how they would like this feature to function. And there's different controllers here. And here's another feature for the reassignments that we talked about earlier that's not completely implemented as well, where you can assign individual notes on each of the pads. So as you can see, the global screens have a lot of stuff for adding all kinds of fancy things. But for now, we think we have plenty here to get you started.